Alright, this is the next video about the 1970s. This is moving into Carter. So Carter comes into the picture about 1976. Um, and this is his domestic policies and things going on here. The next one will be the foreign. Now, in the election of 1976, Jimmy Carter runs against Gerald Ford. Pretty close election electorally wise. Jimmy Carter was seen as an everyday common man. He was a peanut farmer from Georgia. In fact, his button had his face on a peanut. That's not Mr. Peanut or anything. But he's seen as a common man, not a lawyer or somebody like this, and so he gains notoriety for that. Now, remember, we're in an energy crisis, correct? There's a tradition in that the president-elect rides in a limo down Pennsylvania Avenue on his way to the White House. Jimmy Carter said we're in an energy crisis. He decides to take his wife and they walk. Pretty crazy, right? Now, one of his other big things is he's going to create a new department within the executive branch called the Department of Energy. And this is now looking at solar panels and wind turbines and renewable energy sources outside of gasoline. Okay? Now, Carter, who happens to be, by the way, one of the, he's the oldest living president. He's still alive. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Carter is a major proponent of human rights. In fact, after he's out of the White House, he travels to many countries talking about human rights violations and how to fix it. So he says America didn't invent human rights. In a very real sense, human rights invented America. It's going into the idea of the personal freedoms upon which our country is founded in the Bill of Rights. Okay? Now, we have some kind of bad things occur here. In the 70s, we have a crisis at a place called Love Canal, and you can see the boy, please help me. Love Canal recipe. You place 82 chemicals in a canal for about 25 years. You build a school, and it yields sickness and death. Okay? So they built this community on the site of a toxic waste dump called Love Canal. The children started getting sick. Some actually died. And it became a question as to why we're building these things, okay? Now, also at the same time, the Department of Energy, we're deciding that we want to use nuclear energy, okay? There is a nuclear power plant established in Pennsylvania called 3 Mile Island, and in the 70s, there is a nuclear meltdown at this place, meaning it's not safe. It is still a highly radioactive area today. In fact, Bam Margera, who had a show called Viva La Bam, tried to get near it, and the Coast Guard showed up and actually threatened to shoot his boat if he didn't turn around. I mean, they don't play, okay? So, although we try to use nuclear energy for kind of civilian use, it's still in its infancy, and it's still highly, highly unsafe. As bad as that one was, Russia had one worse in the 80s, and I know I'm jumping here, at a place called Chernobyl. Now, Chernobyl actually had a nuclear explosion, and people actually passed away and kind of moved from there. It's crazy. So, this explosion, they left the town as it was and moved away, and this is the most radioactive place on the planet currently. They use gygometers to kind of look at the radioactivity, and it's the subject of a horror movie called The Chernobyl Diaries. It's a B-rate one. It's kind of silly, but it's fun. There you go. Now, also in the 70s, the Teamsters, which I talked about with Kennedy, had a boss named Jimmy Hoffa, and Jimmy Hoffa disappeared. This is when he's having negotiations with the presidents, etc., and they've never found Jimmy Hoffa today. He's been missing. Now, it's presumed that somebody killed him. They just don't know where he is, and every year somebody will come up with, oh, he's under this stadium, or he's in this field, and they go dig it up, and they don't find him. Crazy, I know, but it's a fun story to talk about. Now, the next thing we have here is a major court case. It is called Lemon versus Kurtzman. Lemon is going to sue a state, basically arguing you can't make any law that's religious. And they use what is called the Lemon Test. The Lemon Test said that any law must have a secular purpose, not religious. It cannot enhance nor inhibit religion, and it has to not entangle the government excessively with religion. So this is really a big thing in going about establishment of religions, and this is a big deal still today. The last one is a court case as well. This is Swan versus Mecklenburg Charlotte Board of Education. This is in '69, but they basically decided, is school busing legal? And they said, school busing to achieve a good ethnic balance or racial quota is legal. So they ruled in favor here of a racial quota. Now it's a big deal because there's another court case coming up in civil rights where they said, no, 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 no. Racial quotas are not okay. But for our purpose right here, they said they were okay. You can do this to achieve a good ethnic blend, to achieve federal money. So there's one more video about Carter, and it's all kind of his mistakes. He's pretty good domestically, but foreignly, or foreign problems, that is a problem for him. All right? That's it for this one.